Welcome to the Private Practice with Soul podcast. My name is Dr. Brooklyn Storm, and I help private practice owners align their business back with their soul's calling, with their big vision and with their soul's purpose. Unlike other private practice coaches, I've traveled the world in search of spiritual resources, spiritual tools, education and information so that you can have the transformation that your soul desires and needs so that you can up-level your business. How much fun is this? I love it so much. Guys, if you're not already a member of the Private Practice Monthly Mentorship Group, please check out the show notes. I would love for you to be there. In the meantime, thank you so much for pushing play today. Let's begin. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Private Practice with Soul. I am so excited that you're here because guess what, guys, thanks to you, this podcast has now broken through the top 100 podcasts in Australia for mental health, and we're now ranked at 65, which is so exciting. So thank you. And we're also number 3 now in the Apple podcast in the spirituality category. So thank you so much. To celebrate these amazing push-throughs with the rankings, I sent out a thank you and a gratitude email yesterday to everybody on my list, and I offered the first 3 people, because we're ranked 3rd, I offered the first 3 people who responded to that email the chance to have a private coaching session with me, one-on-one, just to sort out their private practice and see how they're going. And man, I was inundated with responses. So I want to say a very big congratulations to Ali, to Larissa, and to Sarah. I'm so excited to catch up with all of you. And I also want to take a moment as well to honor and thank people who've left reviews for the podcast this week. So one review came from Mindful Me 123, and it said, this podcast is my new favorite. So happy I found this podcast. Brooklyn has a really great way of expressing herself, and I love listening to her perspective. Highly recommended. So thank you so much, Mindful Me 123. And I also have another beautiful review. This one is from Serena Fly, also on Apple Podcasts. It says, very informative. They're both 5-star reviews. And this one says, Brooklyn tells it how it is and has extremely valuable wisdom to share with those launching and creating success in their business. Love having so many to binge now I've discovered her podcast. Guys, you have no idea how energized I feel because when you host a podcast, as many of you are, you know what it's like. You kind of do it in your study and it's just you and, well, I talk to a mirror. Because I like to have somebody to talk to. I'm either talking to a mirror or I'm talking to Gabe, my wonder dog down here, my 4-legged fur baby. And so when you get some feedback like that, it makes you feel like you're less alone in the podcasting world. And it's just really beautiful to feel like there's that energy of giving and receiving. And it's just so beautiful to feel like you're part of something so special. So thank you very, very much. But let's get on with the show. So today I want to talk with you about how to problem solve in your private practice. And, I think this is something that's not really discussed that much, is it? I think what tends to happen is we go off on tangents talking about all of these different things. But at the crux of it, I think the overarching issue is how on earth are we meant to be problem solving when a lot of us are in private practice by ourselves? Or even imagine being in a partnership or when you're running a group private practice, how on earth are you guys all meant to solve the day-to-day problems and the bigger problems that come up? And I think this is really important as well because, we're on the tail end of the financial year here in Australia, and I know a lot of you have already made your plans for the next 12 months for the upcoming financial year, which begins for us on the 1st of July, doesn't it? But it's really important to have an understanding of what's going to work for you when it comes to problem solving, because here's the thing, I think when you don't have a great awareness of what's going to work for you, I think that's in part what contributes to that sense of overwhelm, isn't it? It's that feeling trapped, feeling stuck, not knowing which way to turn. And, it's that feeling that I think in some ways of confusion and perhaps powerlessness. You're not really sure what to do. And so it all just starts to feel really hard, really heavy. That's when sometimes the dread can come in, or even, heaven forbid, the anxiety, the angst of, oh my gosh, what if this happens? Or what if that doesn't happen? Or should I be doing this? Or shouldn't I be doing that? And, problems happen in private practice, as in any business, all the time. And even my businesses are not impervious to issues and problems happening, okay? Your business is a living, breathing thing, and it's going to have issues from time to time. But here's the thing. If you can understand a process to resolving conflict or challenges or issues when they arise in your practice, life is going to get a whole lot easier for you. And I'm going to give you an example. So here's an example. I'm just trying to think now what's a story I can share with you, but I think I've spoken about it before in my podcast, and that was when we were transitioning from bulk billing to fee paying. Got a lot of pushback, not just from clients, but also from GPs, and also from some people who were, working with and for the business, okay? Everybody seemed to have their own opinion of fees and what raising fees meant and things like that. And I wasn't really sure how to solve a lot of that because, as you know, I was being guided by what I thought everybody else was doing. And so I was forcing my round peg into their square hole, and it wasn't working. And this was being reflected in the practice in all sorts of ways, right? Your business is a reflection of your inner world. And if you're confused on the inside, if you're not operating in a way that feels right for you on the inside, then how on earth are other people going to confidently follow the directions that you're giving them? It's not going to happen. And I'm speaking from experience. But let me talk to you today about a situation where a client didn't want to pay her outstanding invoice, just didn't want to pay it. She had, signed on to have the counselling at the practice. She'd signed the consent form. She had informed consent. She knew about our terms and conditions. She knew about cancellation policies and fee policies and things like that. Now, again, it's a topic for another episode, and I will come back to it, I promise. But I don't believe in all of this business around. I just don't get why some practice owners complicate cancellation fees. And I'm going off on a tangent, but bear with me. I don't know why they complicate the cancellation fees, because it's confusing for them, it's confusing for admin, and it sure is eggs confusing for your clients when you have a cancellation policy that says 24 hours, but if there's an emergency, then we'll waive it. Or if it's 48 hours, then you're only going to pay 75%. And if it's 36 hours, then you'll only pay 12%. And if you're on a low income, then you're only going to pay 10%. And it's crazy. I don't know why people do it. At my practice, what works for me is I just have one fee. That's it. But anyway, she had, been informed of all of the policies around cancellation fees, around attendance, around booking her appointments, around SMS reminders, email reminders, all that sort of stuff before she started. It was all good. Then what started to happen was she started booking appointments and then not turning up. And so we were sending off the invoice and it wasn't getting paid. And then she'd ring up and she'd say, oh yeah, I'm aware I've got the invoice, but I want another appointment and I really need this appointment. And so admin would say, oh, all right then, but you do need to pay for your outstanding, cancellation. Oh yeah, I'll do it. Come down and have the appointment, wouldn't do it, right? Wouldn't pay. And so anyway, what ended up happening was it became quite messy, because then she'd ring up the practice and she'd be irate, like really aggressive, really angry, sending me aggressive emails, hostile emails. How dare you charge me this fee? Who do you think you are? This is not okay. And then the next email would be, hat in hand, apologizing. Oh, I'm so sorry. I know I shouldn't have said those things to you, but I'm just really struggling right now. And anyway, needless to say, it caused a lot of headache, not just for me, but for admin. It meant we had to review all of our policies. It meant we had to update everything, because we realized that our policies weren't accommodating people who were perhaps this way inclined. where they were having their dramas and they weren't complying with our policies yet, still wanting all of the services. And so, yeah, it required a big overhaul of stuff, right? But while it was all happening, we're all just trying to follow the policies and the procedures that we had in place while holding a safe space for the client, trying to help her feel supported. But it was really triggering because it's not nice to receive those emails as a practice director, especially when you're already feeling overworked and you're already feeling like you don't have enough time for admin. I mean, I have a day a week where I do my admin now. But even now, sometimes people are getting cranky because it's like, well, I emailed you 2 days ago. Why haven't you emailed me? And there's like 5 emails from them in the inbox. So it's around really being very clear with people now around what my availability is to deal with the admin. That's fine. That was a lesson that I learned. But the thing that I learned was that as a result of all of this happening with this particular client, although it was really hard for me at the time because I was so emotionally triggered, I felt so conflicted. Of course I'm a helper, and of course I have empathy, and of course I wanted to support this woman, but at the same time I'm running a business, and every time she's booking an appointment, not coming and not paying, it's costing my business money. It's taking away space from somebody who's on my waiting list who really does want an appointment. You know what I mean? All that stuff came up. And what I ended up doing was going outside for help. And by that, I mean, I was jumping into the Facebook groups going, what should I do, guys? And everybody was, jumping in and giving me advice, which was not unsolicited. I had asked for that advice. But I came away from those posts going, I wish I never asked the question, because it seemed like every man and his dog had a different opinion of what I should be doing, what I shouldn't be doing. It brought up even more emotional triggers for me and had me increasing my self-doubt. My confidence plummeted even further. I was questioning whether I was behaving ethically or not, because that had been raised, of course, people saying, oh, is it ethical, and da-da-da-da-da. And then, you get this sense of fear, don't you? Fear around, am I doing the right thing? Am I not doing the right thing? What would the right thing be? And I came away from there feeling less clear than when I posted the question in the first place. And then I spent the weekend just almost in a state of mental torment. I couldn't get it out of my mind. I felt so confused and conflicted about what to do. But here's the thing. Around that time as well, I was spending more of my energy connecting again into my spiritual practices. And for me, one of those practices, I don't know if it's spiritual or not, I'm going to call it spiritual, is journaling, and journaling around my higher self. So if you're new to this podcast, one of the things that I do like to talk about is alignment. And when I talk about alignment, I'm referring to our capacity or our willingness or our, inclination to allow ourselves space to sit down, take a beat, take a breath, and check in with our higher self. And higher self can mean, you might call it your higher consciousness, you might call it source energy, you might call it spirit, you might call it God. It doesn't matter what you call it. I think it's the same thing. We're all just calling it something else. But for me, I just call it my higher self. And for me, the experience is it's almost like in my third eye, I don't even know how to describe it. It's not a visual thing. I don't see a picture of my higher self, but it's like I have it's like a communication without words, really. It's just like I can, in my mind's eye, I can sense, I can intuit what my best self might do, or what the advice is in this situation, or what the guidance is in this situation. It's like I can access something. And for me, it's a very strong sense. It's around my third eye, middle of my forehead, and I always look up, not up to the ceiling. I'm not rolling my eyes up to the ceiling, but up as if I'm looking at the corner of the room. And it's almost as if I can experience a download. People call it a download. And it's probably the only way I can really explain what it's like for me, because I do not see a picture of myself up there. I don't see a picture of anybody else up there. I don't see light or colors or anything like that. But it's like when I look up and I ask myself the question, the answers just seem to come into my mind. They come into my energy. That's what it's like for me. And I think that's what intuition is, and tapping into that intuition. And so it was by tapping into that intuition through my higher self that I was able to find my process that works for me for solving problems in my private practice. And so what I do is I get out my journal, and it doesn't have to be a fancy journal, by the way. I've just got like from Officeworks. I think in America and Britain, like you guys have got Staples, but we've got Officeworks out here. So I just got Officeworks, and I just got a spiral bound book because I like to be able to flip the pages over and flip the book over and write on both sides of every page. And what I'll do is I just get my pen and I will just write out, what would my higher self do in this situation? How would my higher self handle this? And then I just let my hand start writing, and I just see what comes up. And it's almost as if I don't know how to say it without sounding weird, but it's almost like I'm just observing what's coming onto the paper. I'm not consciously coming up with the ideas or the information. I'm just allowing my intuition to come into my mind, out through my hand, out through my pen, onto the paper. And I'm reading it as it's coming out onto the paper. And when I'm finished, I have a look at it and I go, oh, okay. And then some more stuff might come up for me. So I'll say, I'll write out, how would my higher self handle the situation of this lady not wanting to, make her payments for her sessions and her missed appointments? Well, my higher self would, whatever. And it's going to be different for all of you. But you might say, let me see what I've got. Hang on. I did this just the other day. So let me see, because I was preparing for this podcast. So I was trying to remember what it might look like. Oh, have I still got it? Where is it? Just looking here. Okay. So I've got, how would my higher self handle a client not honoring their payment commitment and sending me angry or terse emails? That was my question, right? And so what ended up coming out for me, and this could be different for you, but this was what came out for me in the moment. I wrote out, my higher self would offer support to that client and seek to understand why they've chosen not to honor their commitment. My higher self would try and coach the client through their challenges by, I can't even read my own writing, by normalizing things for them. My higher self would point out the benefits of fully participating in his or her counseling program, and would provide an ambience of respect, safety, and support, and hold that special space for them. If that client persisted on refusing to pay for their counseling, my higher self would be a model for acting with integrity and self-respect, and would work within the boundaries of the business relationship with that client, reminding the client how important it is to honor their obligations and commitments and follow through on them. My higher self would be firm in these boundaries and fair might be helping that client to come to a payment arrangement, and reassuring and resuming the counseling program with them. My higher self isn't emotionally triggered by the client not paying their fees, because she understands that her client is being affected by their own fears perhaps, and these have nothing to do with her. She honors the process of transformation being a beautiful yet also uncomfortable experience at times for clients, and is okay supporting clients in their fear without making it about her. Right? So that's what I journaled out. Now, you might have something completely different, but I just wanted to give you an example of what the process might look like for you. And what's really beautiful about this is when you try and access that intuitive side and you allow the downloads to come through, you allow that inspiration to come through and you write it out, guess what? You don't have that emotional charge anymore. You don't have that emotional trigger on it anymore. That is removed and it's just a thing. It's not a good thing. It's not a bad thing. It's just a thing. The situation is now just a thing. There's no energetic emotional charge attached to it anymore. Okay? And I think that that is incredibly powerful because when you're running your private practice, it's so important that you've got your wits about you, and it's so important that you can think clearly. And it's so, so, so important that you live your authentic truth, right? And you can't do that if you're not listening to your intuition, if you're not tapping into that guidance. And I don't even know how else to explain it more clearly. You have to be able to align how you're showing up in your business with your intuition. That's what your higher self is. That's what alignment is. Alignment is the business marries up. The business is in sync with your values, and those values come out through something like an exercise such as tapping into your higher self, tapping into your higher consciousness, tuning into your intuition. And guys, you don't have to use a journal prompt. Journal prompts are just how I tap into my intuition. But you could absolutely do a meditation. You could absolutely do a meditation and see what comes up for you in terms of how you might handle a particular problem or a challenge in your business, and allow yourself to receive that guidance in the meditation. And when you come out of the meditation, act on it. That's what alignment is. Okay, your business is just an extension of your purpose. Your business is an extension of your soul's calling, right? Your business is the work. In a beautiful way, your business is the work. But you can't be doing that if you're not connected. And you want to have, it's by having that connection back into your soul consciousness, back into your higher self, back into your intuition, that's going to bring that business into alignment and make these problems go away. These problems are going to go away for you. I want you to have a private practice where you feel confident and competent in dealing with whatever is going to come up. And that doesn't mean going and asking people for help all the time and going and asking other people what they would do, because guess what? Their business is unique to their purpose. Their business is unique to their calling. Their business is unique to their soul's work. So it doesn't matter what they're doing. It's got nothing to do with you. Stop asking them. Come back home to yourself. And by tuning into your intuition, by tuning into your awareness, by accessing the answers from within, you're going to cultivate trust with yourself, trust with the universe, faith with yourself, faith in your soul, faith in your purpose, faith in your calling, confidence within yourself, confidence within the actions that you choose to take. And guess what happens then? You have a beautiful ripple effect in the external. Right? Imagine all the good things that are going to happen in your business because you allowed yourself a chance to anchor into your purpose and act on it. So that's what today's episode is all about. Solving problems in your private practice isn't hard. It is not hard. You're complicating it for yourself when you're asking everybody else what they think you should do. Stop. Stop it. Start tuning into you and check in with what you think you should do, and then do it. Okay? Allow yourself to listen. This is the information that I'm sharing with you is probably not going to be for everybody. I am speaking to the private practice owners who are thinking about alignment, who are curious about how they might use it to solve problems in their private practice. And I'm speaking to people who already get and understand this stuff, right? Because you know that the change is possible. You know that you can do it. You know that the answers are always available to you. It's just ego, fear that gets in the way of you allowing yourself, one, the opportunity to tap into that higher consciousness, and two, the opportunity to actually act on it. You know, when that fear comes up, I want you to see it for what it is, thank it, because all it's doing is it's alerting you to the fact that, you know, is it safe for me to do this? And you just want to acknowledge it and say, thanks for coming up, fear, but yep, I've got it. I've got this, and I'm going to run with it, and I'm going to do it. And maybe for you, learning how to cultivate that trust in yourself for finding answers to problems in your business can be made a bit easier if you start by experimenting or testing it with small problems first. Just try it with small problems first. When you have a small problem in the business, allow yourself to carve out some time in the day where you can sit down and connect with your intuition and see what comes up for you in terms of answers to this small problem. And when you've got the answer, I want you to allow yourself to act on it and see what happens. If it works out, fantastic. Let's try it again the next day with the next problem that comes up, and build that muscle of trust. Build that muscle of inner belief. Build that muscle of inner confidence. Build that muscle of your intuition. Build that muscle of self-reliance. Build that muscle of faith, and see what a difference it can actually mean for you in your private practice. This is such a beautiful thing, but there are next steps. If you'd like some support to solve problems in your private practice for yourself, I'm the one for you. I'm going to stand for you, with you, next to you, beside you, and help you find ways for you to find answers to problems in your private practice. Coaching isn't about giving everybody the answers. The way I coach is about helping my clients find the answers within, okay? Because that's what empowerment is. That's what empowerment is. And I want you to feel empowered and confident and connected to your soul, and to see it living out in your private practice. So if you like support and you want some help with this, please connect with me. You can do that on Instagram. My Instagram is just at Dr. Brooklyn Storm. Storm has an E on the end. I will put my email address in the show notes for you. You can send me an email anytime that you like. Send me a question. I'm happy to help you. If you've got a question about anything that might have been triggered for you in today's episode, or anything that's come up for you that you're wanting to tease out a little bit, I'm your girl. I would love to help you with all of this stuff. The spiritual private practice is my jam, guys. I am here for you. You have a safe space. I have a group that I've created that you're more than welcome to come along to. We have coaching calls in that group 3 times a month, and everything else in between. Heaps of resources for you, heaps of ways to create your own strategies in a soul-aligned way that will work for you in your private practice. And guys, this stuff gets results like you wouldn't believe. The private practice owners that I work with do amazing things. And that's why I'm so passionate about teaching you how you don't need someone like me to fix things for you, because you are well and truly capable of being able to fix things for yourself. You just need someone like me to show you how to do that for yourself, if that makes sense. Anyway, I'm here for you. Connect with me anytime you like. I want to say thank you so much for listening to this show. I can't tell you how grateful I am, how much I appreciate it. Thank you to people who've subscribed, downloaded, played, listened. Thank you so much. Thank you. Have a beautiful Saturday, everybody, and I'll see you again really soon. Bye, guys. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Private Practice with Soul podcast today. If you're looking for clarity, if you need help with branding, your processes, and bringing everything into alignment with your soul's purpose for your private practice, head to the show notes and click the link for more information about the Private Practice Monthly Mentorship Group. You are going to love it. I can't wait to see you in there. Thanks so much for listening. Bye.